Hello and welcome to the All 12 Signs video series for the Mercury Retrograde. This is happening in the signs of Virgo and Leo. Ishala diela ma doela. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, and this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes in the readings that come through, in the messages that come through in the readings. My words have all been mixed up. We are in shadow phase for this Mercury retrograde. Often it can be louder than the retrograde itself. So speaking of this retrograde, I have launched a competition with this series that is taking us up to the 29th of August, which is my birthday. This retrograde is happening a degree before my sun at 5 degrees of Leo. I really wanted to give back. It's my first competition on this channel, and there is a question in the description box. I'm going to talk more about it in the reading itself, and you can answer this question as many times as you would like. And there are 3 mini readings up for grabs, so knock yourself out, and I cannot wait to hear what everyone has to say, because the question's very much linked into the theme around this Mercury retrograde. So really looking forward to what everyone has to say. So I'm going to crack on. I'm reading for Aquarius. So let us begin. Aquarius rising. How you doing, Aquarius? So I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Aquarius in the first house, look to what house it does fall in your natal chart. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes as well as all the meaning you've got going on in the sign of Aquarius to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Aquarian energy from your natal chart has no... This is Pluto. Pluto's in your sign right now. Jokes. What was I saying? Yeah, so that Aquarius energy is now moved to the first house energetically. So the astrology for the rising sign will still link in. You just got to add on your natal chart meaning on top of it. Whoa. Okay, Aquarius. So I'm going to be breaking down the astrology for Aquarius rising, and as I do so, I'm going to be pulling these cards. As you can see, I mean, quite a few of them have already gone everywhere already. At the end of the astrology, the energies that I channel they are going to move the cards around, and then they're going to put the cards into the 3 piles, and that is when I'm going to bring in the tarot into the astrology. So those 3 piles are, what's the overall theme and intention of this transit for you, Aquarius? The second pile is, what is the challenge and how to work with it? Because, you know, with every transit there's always challenges. We live in a universe of polarity, so we can't avoid it. And we, you know, with retrogrades, we're going back over old territory, and it often brings up old wounds, old difficulties in order to be released. So that is pile 2. Pile 3 is how to amplify and work with the energy that's showing up in this transit. So really elevate it. What support can we give to the transformative process? So before I begin, I just want to let you know there is a competition. My first competition on this channel, instigated with this Mercury retrograde series. And there is a question in the description box that you can answer as many times as you want in the comments, and there are 3 mini readings up for grabs, and it's going on to the 29th of August, which is my birthday, and I wanted to give back, and so after that I will correlate, and I'll let everyone know who's won, and the question is, what bit of information, what idea, what construct, what perception helps you facilitate your 3D experience from a place of joy and love and hope, right? That's the Virgo energy, facilitating the 3D experience. Leo's obviously that heart space, the light that we feel, feeling illuminated. Feeling that joy. I've given an example from my own, something that's really core, like that helped ground me into this incarnation and be like, we're gonna be okay. So it's those kind of things, and also like how, you know, what framework, what idea just genuinely just helps you get back into being in your body, being present and feeling the love of source, right? Those kind of things. And given like the chaos that's going on in the world, we can really slip out of that energy very very easily. So I just wanted to have a question that other people can read everybody else's comments and then get inspired, get some tips, get some clues that help them. And I just wanted to really bring that into the forefront. So that's the competition. Now, Aquarius rising, where is this happening for you? Well, this is instigating in the sign of Virgo. Now, Virgo for you is in your 8th house. This is the house of the outside world's resources. This can be mortgages, loans, taxes, insurance, bonuses, commissions, inheritance, both 3D and cosmic inheritance. So it's dealing with the resources of the outside world, as well as more one-off payments, one-off resources, right? The other side of the 8th house, it's the house of transformation. And this is because this is where the exchange, the relationship dynamics that show up, the exchange between you and anything other than yourself, right? Time, money, ideas, intimacy, right? It is the relationship dynamics. So we can have scarcity here, we can have codependency, we can give too much, we can take too much. And what we really want is healthy co-creation relationship dynamics, right? It is your relationship with source, right? How that dynamic shows up, and the resources from source as well. Because it's not just on the 3D plane, it is the multi-dimensional sphere. So this Mercury retrograde is starting in the sign of Virgo. Diala, diceni mo toela, I toela diala, ot. Diala die shelima, ot. Sorry guys, when they are cutting the deck and being all weird like this, I toela, diala, dicenia, ot. Okay, they are wanting all of the cards. That's enough. Otherwise we'll be here all day. I'm trying to get these videos shorter. It's just not in my nature. I like bringing context to the table. So, Mercury, how do we perceive things? What information we are drawn to? How what we interested in? How do we process? How do we share that information? Ideas, plans, all of that kind of thing in the sign of Virgo. So I'm just have to pause. I can feel a tickle coming up in my throat. Sorry about that, Aquarius. Obviously, we're dealing with Mercury. Communication is part of... Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to get some water. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, Aquarius, but are there things that you haven't said that you need to say? Is that what's going on? That may be a bit difficult, that may be stuck and not able to get out, even though the intention is there, even perhaps on the unconscious level. Right, what was I talking about? Virgo and the Mercury retrograde. So this can see you going over old perspectives, old territory in regards to relationships and what they mean to you, the dynamic of it all, right? I can see you really refining the resources that and your perception around how you receive and give resources with the outside world, with that engagement, sense of reciprocity. So going over your I can see downloads coming in from source in regards to facilitating this experience, as well as elevating that connection with source in terms of the information that you receive, the synchronicities, the processing energy. There may be, for some of you, right, this is, very stereotypical of the Mercury retrograde, because, mortgages, loans, all that kind of stuff involve contracts. So if you're going through any of that, always be mindful, go with what feels right for you. But with a retrograde, because we don't have all the answers, making rash decisions or quick decisions, not necessarily rash, at the beginning of a retrograde, there's usually going to be territory that we got to go back over. And with contracts, you may miss something. So just be mindful of that. So there is this sense of a re-shifting in our frequency around how we communicate, especially with the 8th house in terms of the exchange of information, right? And there may be some blockages, some wounds around there for you really being able to facilitate that. Did have that tickle in my throat, and being comfortable and confident, opening up about those kind of things. And then it's going to move into Leo. So the reason why I'm focusing on the relationship dynamics is because Leo is your 7th house. It's opposite your Aquarius energy, which is why I think so many cards wanted to come out. And Leo, the 7th house is one-to-one intimate relationships, right? Important people in your life. This can be business partners, clients, your therapist, intimate friends, long-term committed romantic relationships, as well as source. Okay, so we've got this shift between figuring out, seeing where there's discordian energy in the exchange of information. Doesn't just have to be communication, it can be the subtle energetic fields in regards to healthy relationship dynamics, right? How to give and receive. And it's then moving back into the 7th, right, where you may then be like, okay, now I'm having conversations one-on-one with people. That Leo energy, the strength card, hello, is all about vulnerability. Well, not all about vulnerability, but there is an element of vulnerability that, speaking from our heart, Leo rules the heart. So speaking from that heart space. And so go with your intuition in terms of, there may be situations, you know, it could be with a business partner, it could be with source, whatever it is. It doesn't just have to be about romance, but there may be situations where there is something bubbling up within you that needs to be said. As I said, go with your intuition. If there are any situations that don't feel right, that you don't feel like the consequences of that might be a bit too detrimental, go with what's right for you. But this is calling us to step into our heart, step into our own light, and vocalize certain needs, or be more open to collaboration, communication. And if you're going to do this, do so without any expectations or assumptions about how it's going to turn out. It's not about how the other responds. It's simply letting the universe know that you respect yourself. But it does require a level of vulnerability. So just, it's that courage that you get from doing that, that is then potentially going to shift the relationship dynamics that you're already in, or have some fall away, and see a new frequency come up. This, for some of you, is about with your business partner, having a plan about, you need some resources, you need a mortgage, you got this plan. This is a great time to hash it out with your business partner about the plan. Right, overall, because Venus is conjunct Mercury on the day of the retrograde, that Venusian energy of harmony, connection, appreciation, value is infusing into Mercury of how we move forward. And so it's really, go check out that collective reading, go into a lot of detail. Did I mention the collective reading? I'm going to repeat it again because I have a feeling that I didn't. There is a collective reading. I think I did, actually. I've listed in the description box all the dates. I broke down in the collective reading the overall themes of all of this in a lot more detail. Mercury in Virgo, into Leo, back again, what a retrograde means. I did a collective tarot reading as well, and it's been quite amazing how the theme of that has shown up in every single sign, right? And so there's very much an alignment here, because remember, Venus went retrograde in Leo last summer. So she's saying, hey buddy, to Mercury, let's make sure this is in alignment. And Mars is going to go retrograde in Leo as well. So the 3 personal planets are all reorientating the other and your understanding of the other, and how you perceive yourself in relationship to the other with that as well. So overall, the overall theme is calling for healthier relationships in the way the dynamic is. Whether that's there's a you pulling back, or them pulling back, or not giving enough, or receiving enough. There's cause for you to muse and figure this out over the length of this retrograde. Look, so Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. So what's going on with Mercury is influencing both Virgo and Gemini. And Gemini for you is in your 5th house of your creation energy, the house of joy. Pleasure, amusement, games, children, literal children, children you work with, children that you own, figurative children, inner child, creative things you birth from out into the world that are like your children. Romance, dating, love. So you've got this link between the 5th and the 7th and the 8th with the relationship dynamics itself. So there is a focal point around pleasure, joy, creativity based on healthier dynamics. So Gemini's getting a level up in with what's going on with this retrograde. You also want to look to where your Mercury is in your chart and the house that it's in. The themes of that house are likely to play a role in what's going on with this retrograde that will make this general reading a bit more personal for you. Obviously, there's many layers with every personal chart, but that will just give a little extra kind of like, of an awareness. So as I said, right, there may be miscommunication. There may be people that come into your life, perhaps old lovers, old romantic relations, business partners, whatever it is. And so often, right, this can be a mixture of things. I often find a lot of the time it is simply Mercury embodied that's sharing a message from a person, right? So often I'm just thinking about the retrograde in Virgo last year. I had an old lover contact me out of the blue saying how much they liked listening to me speak. And it was in no way in order to reconnect. And so that was Mercury. It's so synchronistic with where their Mercury is in their chart in relation to where Mercury was at the time that they sent that message. So they were basically grabbed by the energy of Mercury. You could say possessed, influenced, let's say influenced by that, to then speak what that Mercury wanted me to hear, right? Rather than, oh, that's someone I'm going to reconnect with. So I always say that just so people are mindful and observe. It can come up in different ways. It doesn't always mean that there's a reconnection. Okay, so the energies that I work with, they are going to put these cards into the 3 piles. Diala, dosheni maetinia doela, etoela, dishenima ela. Letting go of some big stuff here, Aquarius. Ituvile Mariana, dishialemo utuela, ela, dianianamo dishi atla enemo diala, dishalemo doela. Etiala, ialamo diala diatu finima etiala etum tum ashinima ofinimaritiana. We got a lot of cards. Itu shelimo tuila. I am constantly trying to make these shorter. Right. Okay, so they're just moving these cards around. Diashole motoela, ela diali motu fienia, o shini diala madishini mo diala dialia niama, dialamani shania doela, etoela, dishinima etinia. Okay, so the Lovers card is upside down at the beginning and then upright at the front of this. Sometimes cards like to be in more than one place at once. Dialiana. Okay, with the Fool at the bottom. So look at those 2 knights. So there's definitely a shift in the way that you take action, right? And so knights embody their suit. It is all about the action and the experience that you feel from that. So there's a shift around your motivation, your drive, your action. So Aquarius, what is the overall theme of this transit for you? The intention of the transit. 10 of Swords in reverse, 10 of Wands in reverse. Can't remember who else got that. This kind of combination's been showing up a fair amount. Page of Swords, Page of Cups, 2 of Cups, King of Wands, Judgment, the Hierophant, the Sun, and the Knight of Pentacles. So we have a level of karmic clearing happening here. I think it was Taurus. I think Taurus got this as well. Fellow fixed sign, and maybe Leo. Leo doing, yeah. So very karmic, these two cards. The Ten of Swords. You see all the swords are all along the spine, right? We store a lot of karma there. So this is words, ideas, preconceptions, things people have said to you, spells, right? Illusions. All of that mental energy that has limited you, that has immobilized you, that stopped you from fully being the full Aquarius that you are, right? So this can be in your lifetime as well as ancestral stuff as well, past life energy that has shown up in terms of restricting your movement and your capacity to evolve. And it can be a reflection on feeling like relationships are always, you know, limiting you. You're not free. You're not able to be yourself. You're not able to feel alive in the energy field when you're engaging with certain things. Now, what I'm talking about could be very minor in your life or can have been very significant wounds. Either way, there's still energy fields around that are influencing your behavior. And this also can be just feeling like those relationship dynamics or the resources, right? It doesn't have to be about relationship dynamics. That there's just been some preconceptions that means you're not getting the resources you need in order to thrive and move around. It's in reverse, so it's being released. Along with the Ten of Wands. Now this is perspective, right? So the Ten of Wands is all about having lots to do, but how we perceive it. This figure feels like they're the beast of burden. They're never getting home. They are stuck in this very unhappy moment where they can't even believe that, can't even see that it's a beautiful day, right? They're hunched over, again, spine, distorted spine energy. And so this is a lot of weight and burden of, you know, perhaps you spent a lot of time by yourself. You've had to hold all of the stuff down, which means there's a struggle to collaborate and share the difficulties, right, of the back and forth, right, because you're just there's a part of you that's like, well, I'm very independent, I do it all myself, I don't need help, I don't need support. And so there's a release around the sort of the lonely path of being the beast of burden. It's also about the perspective around, you know, the 8th house of relationship dynamics involves work, involves effort. And so there may be, rather than seeing it as a heavy burden, of feeling more light around that and wanting to engage in that. We then get the Page of Swords. And so I'm getting two messages with this. Firstly, the Page of Swords for me has the capacity of crunching timelines. It is the time traveler because it's looking to the past, present in the moment, while the body is forward facing to the future. So there's an alignment with the understanding and the perception of what's gone on in the past, and ensuring that in the present moment you are not being distorted in your path of where you head into the future. And so this is calls for reflection, and so there's an element of there's the intention of this transit is to get you to realize that how you feel in the moment is influenced by the past. And I know we all kind of know that, but there may be a part of you out there that's just not willing to look at it, right, and willing to engage. And so there is this capacity of bringing everything into the present moment and finding a new perspective. Communicating in a different way, communicating with an understanding of things moving into the future rather than just being limited by the present moment. And I mean that in terms of communicating in a way that serves the co-creation between you and the other. This could be source, or this could be anything. And the other message what I'm getting through is that this process is crunching certain timelines, right? That is helping shift. It feels like there's some discordian energy, like some old timelines that are still holding on, which means you're not able to manifest into the future from a place that's authentic to you, rather than trauma responses, limiting beliefs. Everyone pull a tarot card when I say that. I was going to say have a shot, but I shouldn't really be promoting everyone getting drunk. I mean, I'm British, so you know it's very appropriate, but actually I rarely drink. What was I even saying? It's just that I know I say those things so often, but unfortunately this is where we're at as a species. We've got to work through this stuff, and we've got to do the work. That this is shifting your capacity into a space where you can condense those timelines rather than being held and limited by them. So he's also kind of acknowledging cause and effect, right? And so often we can struggle with that in relationship dynamics, of seeing that we actually impact the people around us. And then how do we want to communicate? How do we want to bring that to the table? Right, I need to move on because I'm talking too much. Page of Cups. Right, so moving from the Page of Swords, very sort of mental, rational energy, to the Page of Cups, which is very fluky Pisces energy, talking to a fish in a cup, and that fish is talking back, and you are not bothered by it. This is about love. This is about imagination, creativity, playfulness, right? Being more in the flow. So there's a shift with an understanding of the past that's now opening up your capacity to receive love, to communicate from a place of love, communicate in ways that facilitate the emotional energetic field of the people that you're engaging with. And just being very more emotionally intuitive and aligned. Two of Cups, union, right? So on a personal level, for your energy, masculine, feminine spirit, all in union with one another from a place of respect, honor, and dignity. They are eye to eye. There is equal here. They are both willing to exchange and give, right? There's a sense of reciprocity here and of love. So this can be the union within yourself, right? That then is creating a frequency and a environment that means that you are drawing towards you situations and relationships that there's more of this respect, right? There's more give and take. So it can see an elevation of the relationship dynamics that you're in, as well as bringing in new ones that may be more in alignment with the work that you've done. And again, it's sort of doubling up on that sort of connecting from the heart, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and be more linked into your emotional body, that is facilitating this sense of vulnerability will help heal certain wounds. This can be your relationship with source. As I said, the other doesn't just have to be romantic, but there is clearly a focus around the creativity and joy and the pleasure that you experience and the reciprocity with other, right? King of Wands, you standing in your power, right? There's a real sovereignty here. It's fire energy, obviously, so passionate. There's this King of Wands wants to get up and go. So there's something around through this recalibration of you being very able to act from a place of maturity and sovereignty with the other, that is very passionate and very sort of, what's the other word that I want to say? There is a level of of motivation, right? Of instinctive actions, getting more mature, getting more in alignment that serve your interaction with the other. So rather than the old wounds, you're in your power, right? Judgment, hello, Pluto, that's in your sign. It's going to be dropping out into Capricorn at the beginning of September. This is Pluto. So these are the dead. They are grey, which represents wisdom. They are rising up. So this can be old versions of self as well as the ancestors, both blood and soul lineage. And so there's a frequency coming in. There's an ascension energy from a higher perspective that is helping release the wounds and the grievances that cause stuck energy here, in terms of old versions of self and ancestors. And they're able to see the wisdom in it. They're able to release that and ascend. So there's something about letting go of lots of old patterns and seeing a higher perspective. And Pluto's in your sign, so there's something around how you embody yourself, right? How you give and receive, where if there's been some wounds and some restrictions. I mean, if you look at that, I mean, there's clearly some stuff that's gone on that has just caused this level of sort of holding back. Sort of fear of commitment, fear of connection because of wounds, because of difficulties, or you're just quite independent and you're not that bothered. But healthy relationship and collaborating relationships are important in any field. No matter how independent we genuinely think we are, we do evolve when we engage in those kind of relationships. Speaking of commitment, we've got Taurus here, the Hierophant. So the Hierophant does represent a level of tradition and commitment, but it is your fourth house of your roots and your foundation. So again, there's a level of maturity here with the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the Pope, right? And so the Pope had to go through its own spiritual journey in order to embody it, like Taurus, the physical senses, embody that sort of source connection, that higher mind, all of that, and is able to transmute it and share that. So there's something about perhaps the journey that you've gone on, the wisdom that you've learned, you're able to share that with others. So that could relate to client work. I just got up in terms of resources. There might be some resources that are coming in with this, like the contract for the house. And this figure is communicating to others. So there's something around your capacity to communicate, right, from a place of wisdom and a place of commitment. This can see you going, okay, this relationship, they're just sort of wanting to hit all along the back of my spine, if you can hear that. They were hitting all along the spine from the root to the heart chakra, and then bringing the heart chakra down to the root. So there's something about soothing some wounds around that, around the capacity to bring that to the table, of this sense of embodiment of the wisdom and be able to communicate who you are. The Sun, vision, clarity, animation, joy, celebration. This is another Leo card because Leo is ruled by the Sun. So you're going to get a lot of clarity. You're going to get a lot of clarity about what it is that you need and what it is that you want and how you want to evolve. And this is one of the biggest yes cards. So it's kind of sort of highlighting it can highlight either you're getting right with yourself, as well as then that leading on to a feedback loop of then relationship dynamics getting right. And finding more joy in them, more freedom in them, right? So there's something around commitment and how you perceive commitment. So there's a real sense of being able to see and be seen. The Knight of Pentacles. So this is big commitment energy in terms of, like, this horse is the slowest and the biggest horse. It will get where it needs to go, but you just there's an element of taking the daily practice of doing the habits, getting it all in. So it's a slow, solid, stable energy of your actions. And so there's a real sense of honoring what you need in the 3D world, and putting that into practice, right? There's a level of groundedness and stability in the way that you take action that's coming through. It's got the Ace of Pentacles. So for some of you, it can be about resources coming in. That means you're able to take action around something else that is part of your longer term goals. So the challenge and how to work with it: 5 of Cups. How are we doing for time? Okay, not too bad. 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords, 6 of Cups in reverse, the Tower, the 8 of Cups, 4 of Wands, sorry, 4 of Swords, Strength, and the Lovers. Now remember, the Lovers actually wanted to be upside down over here. So we've got some challenging energy. So the Lovers in reverse, this is Gemini, right? This is the union. If we're going with sort of relationship dynamics where then haven't been working, there isn't union, right? The capacity to tap into love and feel love, right? Whether that's been something that's been a wound in the past, or maybe it's something you've not experienced and there's just sort of a restriction around that because it just builds up in fear of like, what's that going to be like? Is it going to be okay? All of that. So yeah, this is your 5th house of your creation energy. So perhaps not being able to harmonize with another in regards to that, of like your pleasure and your joy and the reciprocity there of being in union and the exchange of that, right? This is also about being able to make the right decisions that serve you in the long term. So there may have been sort of blockages around that, impulses of like of feeding that Gemini energy rather than the co-collaboration. Or there's just certain dynamics where you're not finding the joy, you're not finding the love anymore. And so these wounds may come up quite loudly during the retrograde. It may be that if you're in a relationship or whatever it is, that there's a blockage around communication. That there's conversations about that creation energy not being present at the moment. So these may show up loudly, or they just may be themes and ideas that you need to focus on that are going to be challenging, you're going to be releasing. 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords. So the 5 of Cups is about grief, right? It's a heaviness of looking at that 3 of Cups that have fallen over. So it's reflecting on that which you may have lost or may never have had, and not realizing that 2 of Cups is always there, right? It's a very sort of heavy energy, right? It can be depressive. And so there's this element of stagnation, of focusing on the past, right? So I love that the Page of Swords showed up, because this is saying you're in awareness of the past, but you're not stuck. You're not stuck there on an emotional level anymore, because this is coming up in order to be released. 5 of Swords. They're so funny. This is about conflict, right? For me, it's the most difficult card in the tarot. And this figure has won the 3 of Swords, right? And we know what the 3 of Swords is. It's heart discordian energy. It blocks our heart energy. And they're really happy that people have lost. So there's the bully and the victim mentality. We can be both of these because the bully was so often a victim. But it's very conflict-driven energy. Like this can be a perception in your mind that recreates this conflict. In certain dynamics. It may be a construct in your mind that's like, love isn't for you. You know, we're just blocking off that heart now because that heart gets us into trouble. I just put my hands over my heart area, not the heart chakra. I think they want to heal that particular wound. They're going over the full. There may be relationships, right, that have been conflict orientated, that for whatever reason it just keeps happening, this cycle, and also being in conflict with the outside world, of having an idea of lack of value around yourself, about, you know, just how are you able to receive resources? Are you worthy of that, right? That can be a really underlying trauma response. Got the 6 of Cups in reverse, and this is all about being at peace with the past. It follows the 5 of Cups. It's the biggest house in tarot. There's a level of safety and security in being able to see the roses, see the flowers that bloom outside of from the compost. It's also about past life energy and people coming back from your past to sort of reconnect. And so there's an element of perhaps of blocking reconnection, blocking feeling good, feeling safe, feeling secure, being at peace with the past. That there's also reciprocity here, right? This figure is giving to this person and they are receiving. So there's a blockage. Oh, getting some strong energy coming out of the sacral chakra. So a blockage around being able to give and to receive. As well as there may be throughout this transit, there may be some difficult conversations, and there may be sort of a separation energy between you and somebody else while you're sort of figuring things out. Now the tower's coming along and pulling down all of this. So I love the tower, even though it can be a bit chaotic and a bit disruptive, but it's just pulling down from the surface. The foundation's still strong. I link this into like a forest fire. Sometimes they need to happen because then new growth can come up from the foundations. So this could be big situations in your life that are just pulling away old ideas, old thoughts, motivations and actions, because it's Mars. It can be really dramatic, or it might just be on the subtle inner experience. I don't want you to be scared of it, because look at what it's pulling down. So how to work with this energy? Well, we've got the 8 of Cups, and this is acknowledging. So this card for me is very much about the deep, deep unconscious responses that we learn from a very early age, that are obviously reflected in our natal chart, past life energy that show up in the early years. And they're so embedded in the unconscious that they feel comfortable, even though they can produce neglect, difficult energy. They're actually disruptive to our energy field, addictions, all of that kind of thing, love languages that see us be withholding, go with someone that's withholding because perhaps someone in your early years, a parental figure, walked away. And so we can hold on to that energy and see that as love, right? So we learn love languages predominantly in our early years from the people around us, and that gets ingrained. And then we go and recreate it, right? It took me a long time to realize I was recreating my relationship with my father. Even though it's a really obvious thing, it's just, there were things that pointed in different directions. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, that's not happening again. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. That's not fun. But it takes a lot of effort to sort of, 1, observe these things, and 2, walk away from them to go and get a higher perspective. So it's calling you to be like, okay, breathe with this. But there's something you need to walk away from. There's something that feels comfortable, feels familiar, but is doing you a disservice. And you're going to know what this is. This is also Saturn in Pisces. So there may be something around how you value yourself, right? That it needs to be released, like a blockage around that. We have the 4 of Swords and the Strength card. So the 4 of Swords is calling you to pause and to be in a state of contemplation. This card's come out a lot of pause cards, because it's retrograde, so we go back over it. You will rest and observe and cultivate. It's not about direct action. And here are the 3 of Swords. This figure's in a church. So this represents, acknowledge that you are held by something bigger than yourself, that you are supported, that you are loved, that you are safe. And when you're in that space, whether it's meditation, prayer, or just sitting out in the garden and contemplating, what do these mean to you? They're out of the heart now, so they've been released, but we still need to observe them, that Page of Swords, in order to get to the Ace of Swords, get to a truce, get to a clarity. So it's saying, yes, this is all pretty intense and a bit difficult, but it's calling you to spend time during this retrograde to contemplate, right? And with that contemplation, see what it is that you truly desire and put out that prayer. We have the Strength card, so this is Leo. So this is that vulnerability that I talked about. This is our mammalian instinctive side with our higher mind, our higher self. And they are working together. They are being vulnerable with each other. And neither is taking advantage of the other showing their vulnerability, right? That lion could eat that lady. It's not the 5 of Swords where was that 5 of Swords? That was him. It's not that 5 of Swords where this is about, I want to win and I want to beat them and I want them to lose and I want them to be unhappy, right? That kind of conflict domination energy. This is not about this. And so this is also, they're very vulnerable, and through that they get strength, and they work together and they collaborate, and that forms an energetic frequency, right? So for those of you who are not interested in that in terms of on the 3D plane. This is your relationship with source as well. So cutting into a state of co-collaboration. This is about being loving and kind to yourself during this process. This is about reflection and refinement. It is the Leo energy, so it is sort of calling you to reflect on the dynamic with the other. And it may, right, be calling you, based on your intuition, to go be vulnerable with the other. How to amplify this? The Death card, the Hanged Man, Three of Wands, King of Cups, Ace of Cups, Knight of Cups. Acknowledge that you are letting go of some very big things in your life, right? This is all about acknowledging that there are some things that have had an authority over you that do not serve you, right? This is linked into that, this card, right? And know that you are going through a state of change, that there's an element of the limbo energy. Know that you are protected, and be really open to what's being released. Scorpio is in your 10th house of your life purpose and your career. So there may be something around focusing on what it is that you want from those things, and how are the relationships showing up in regards to that. There may be some release around some limiting beliefs around your perception of what your life is capable of being. They just focused on that strength card and brought it up to the Death. So there may be some like deep wounds around commitment, around connecting and being intimate, that it's not for you, right? So this is calling you to be open-minded to the changes that are happening. I'm not saying everyone's got to go out and change their personality. Being with another person, engaging on a one-to-one basis isn't for everyone's path, but it's calling you not to be in resistance to what may unfold, not fight whatever changes may be coming through, because it's all in alignment with your soul's frequency. There may also be a situation that's fallen away, and that, so they're highlighting it, of saying, look, don't worry about it, it's part of the process. The Hanged Man, this is Neptune over in Pisces right now. And this is all about pause to gain perspective by shifting your perspective, right? You can just stand on your head, and that will honestly activate the capacity for you to bring in different perspectives. This is about kind of being humble and being open to shifting perspectives and bringing in more perspectives. There's the halo. It's the only halo in tarot. So it's through this journey of reflection that you are coming into a deeper state of enlightenment with your energetic field. Three of Wands. So this is acknowledging that you are embarking on a journey. We've got it with the Fool as well. And this is a very confident energy. So the universe is wanting you to know you are where you are. You have done everything that you needed to do. You're on the higher ground. But it's not about worrying about how the journey is going to unfold. It's not about planning it. It's about just knowing confidently that you are where you are, and let it unfold and see what happens. Do your best. When we do our best, we get into an alignment when we're not shaming what we've done, right? When we're like, okay, I may have messed up here, I may have done this here, but I'm aware of it, and if I'm going to figure out how I would want to do it, in the future, and I'm going to do that. It is also acknowledging just going on a new journey in regards to this. I'm feeling very confident about it, and so it's calling you to look to that, to step out of a planning mindset or a worry mindset and let things unfold. We do have the Fool, with that Three of Cups underneath it, of starting a new journey operating from the heart space, right? This is also you recalibrating to your original soul frequency, your inner child who's about to go and embark on a new journey. Now, reasons why I say from the heart space is because the Fool's chest is leading it off that cliff, right? The heart that can be naive and stupid, in the sense of falling off the cliff, but that Fool knows a new reality is going to appear because it's been vulnerable, it's open, it's leading with the heart, right? So it's very curious about how things are going to unfold without any expectations or assumptions. So it is saying overall, I'm not surprised with all of this. And then with the death card of like, you are, and then the Three of Wands, you are embarking on a journey that is more freeing, more open, but also more engaging and curious and open. And then we've got all these cups. Look at that, Aquarius. King of Cups, Ace of Cups, Knight of Cups. So there's a lot around you getting into your emotional body, right? So that may be a little bit difficult. I mean, I think it is for all of us, really, on a various level. And so this is how to amplify this, is to kind of get out of the rational mind, get out of the limitations, observe what your intuition is telling you and guiding you to do, observe what your emotions are telling you, right? And how to understand what's coming up because of that. Because we've got the King of Cups. The King of Cups is very mature. It's sitting in the eye of the storm and it's not bothered. It's able to act from a place of sovereignty in regards to its emotional body, its intuition, or its imagination, its creativity. So there's something here of like calling you to step into being in the eye of the storm and observe. And then with that, see the power in what's coming up over this cycle. It's also calling you to not necessarily lose your head, but honor the experience, honor the emotional journey, and figure out, okay, what is your sovereignty in regards to your emotional body, right? How you feel about things, and really go deep, right? This is on the ocean. You know, observe what your intentions are when you act from an emotional place, right? When you command from an emotional place. It's also calling you to, you know, be more resonant and tap more into that emotional body, right? And really activate it. It's, you know, it's kind of vulnerable to do that. You know, that can be with yourself. It doesn't have to be with everybody else. But just really, you know, getting a grips on why you may behave the way you behave. Because then we have the Ace of Cups and the Knight of Cups. And this is saying, know that there is renewal coming in. Know that there is sovereignty around your emotional body that's more empowering than you have had. Just had some more energy around the sacral chakra. Very mature as well, right? Rather than impulsive. So this Ace of Cups, it's all this cup energy. It's making me think of, you've got Cancer in the 6th, which is how you work and how you figure things out. And it's very important for us to have an understanding of that, in order to work with other people, right? In order to have a level of being mature and being the adult in the room about how you work with others. We've got the Ace of Cups, so this is saying the universe wanting you to know there is a renewal around connection, around love, around your intuition, around your imagination. It's coming in with the Dove of Peace, right? Be open to receive. And be open to give as well, which is what the Knight of Cups is saying. The Knight of Cups is the embodiment, right? The actions, the moving through life with rose-tinted spectacles on, the true romantic. Following your intuition, you know, really like championing your capacity to engage with your emotional body and act on it, right? And come from more of a place of love than restriction. So this may be like showing up, you know, maybe there's some important people in your life. Diana, they didn't want that one. Maybe there's people in your life where you feel like, oh, I know what action I could take to help them feel reconnected, help them feel loved. This is also perhaps you going out and doing things that you love and that you want to do, and loving yourself and giving yourself that love as well. So yeah, because it's the reciprocity, remember. Oh, Shinima Diala. You cannot make it up. Express your love. I'm going to get you one more. There we go. Oh Oh, goodness me, I love Source. Source is a cosmic troll. This is from the Four Agreements Oracle, all the decks in the description box. It's a very mercurial deck. The author of the book, which the Oracle is based on, it's one of the few books that I recommend to people, has a Virgo sun, and it was given to me by a Gemini rising. So be impeccable with your word. Express your love. Oh, you can't make it up. Impeccability of the word can be measured by your level of self-love. If you love yourself, you will express that love in your interactions with others, and that action will produce a like reaction. Love that. I love that so much. Don't take anything personally. Transform your life. This feels like a lot of wounds from childhood, right? That Gemini energy where your inner child is. Just with that karmic clearing. Ufana. When you refuse to take things personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your feelings of anger, jealousy, and even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally. I mean, it's something that I am constantly. I read this book a while back, and I've been trying to implement all of these things, and it can be difficult because a lot of our human responses are like, in the feels. Love that. Transform your life, Aquarius. You got this. This is what's happening. And it's bringing more, like Venus is conjunct Mercury at the beginning of the retrograde in Virgo. The readings have been so in alignment with that. It's ridiculous. There is going to be a pick a card reading after the all 12 sign series. So that's going to tap into sort of like more bigger archetypal epic themes. I mean, that seems to happen with every pick a card. So that's going to be live. Right. So Aquarius, be good to yourselves. Be good to those around you. No, I've skipped some bits. Apologies. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, it would bring me great joy if you hit that like button. Obviously, there's the competition. Enter that. I'd love to hear from you. If you want a personal reading, perhaps on this, right, this is pretty powerful, Aquarius. Keep operating from a place of love. Let your heart open. Diale molto ela, diele molto ela, me dice molto fia la diala. Remember, Leo's opposite you, right? Leo rules the heart. I'm speaking as someone who's got an Aquarius moon. Aquarius, we can be very, very high perspective and detached, where it's like, what are emotions? Do we even need to bother? Because there's other bigger picture stuff going on. So totally understand why this has come up. This is beautiful. Right. Be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.